comes back. That's just my theory. If they was to go up to maybe 5th or 4th, maybe she come back. But as of right now, the way this schedule looking, I don't think the Indiana Fever got enough to win 5 games to move up the ladder and secure their spot in the playoffs. It's just an unfortunate situation. And I'm sorry, the finger has to be pointed at Stephanie White because for the simple fact her lineup selection, her coaching ability has not been there. And what is really the topic of discussion no one's really talking about is
Stephanie White finds herself under intense scrutiny as the Indiana Fever's head coach faces mounting pressure amid disappointing team performance. The current season has fallen short of widespread expectations, with many believing White possessed the tactical expertise to guide the franchise back to competitive relevance. The situation has deteriorated significantly as Indiana has dropped to 7th place in the standings after previously holding 6th position. This decline raises serious concerns about the team's playoff prospects, particularly regarding Caitlin Clark's potential return.
Talking about is I'm gonna put together a collage video, not this video, but I'm gonna put it out before the week's out. That is looking over Stephanie White coaching career. I believe Stephanie White is one of those people that happen to come across situations that make her look good. Not to say that she's a bad coach, but hell, Connecticut, she inherited that team. Vanderbilt, she inherited that team. And what happened after a while when she started sticking up the place? She got fired.
Analysis suggests that unless the Fever can climb to 4th or 5th place, Clark may not rejoin the organization. Given the challenging remaining schedule, securing 5 additional victories to improve their playoff positioning appears increasingly unlikely. Critical examination of White's tenure reveals concerning patterns in her coaching history. Her previous positions at Connecticut and Vanderbilt involved inheriting established programs rather than building teams from scratch.
She started sticking up the place. She got fired. Connecticut, what happened when the team started to go a little south? She quit and left. And I hate to say it, but after next season, do y'all think Stephanie White going to be the coach next year if they don't win a title? To me, Stephanie White came into this thing, it's title or a bust for her. And if she messes this up, bro, I don't think we see Stephanie White coaching again. I just got to be honest. That's just my personal opinion. Now, one big factor in this whole thing that has everybody really scratching their
When these inherited squads began struggling under her leadership, the outcomes proved problematic, resulting in dismissal at Vanderbilt and her departure from Connecticut during difficult periods. The pressure intensifies when considering that White's current situation appears to be championship or bust. Failure to deliver significant success could potentially end her coaching career entirely, as another unsuccessful campaign might make future opportunities scarce. Central to current criticisms is the limited utilization of CHOLE BIBBY, whose playing time remains minimal despite fan expectations.
Now, one big factor in this whole thing that has everybody really scratching their head is CHOLE BIBBY. That is because CHOLE BIBBY pretty much is being not played like that. I mean, Stephanie White has been him-hawing around with her. When it comes to CHOLE BIBBY getting good minutes, she listened to everybody and started playing KK. But other than that, bro, it's just not looking good for Stephanie White. Now, like I stated, she did speak to the media yesterday, and that's what we're finna dive into right now. Let's take a listen to.
While White has responded to some pressure by increasing KK's minutes, the overall rotation decisions continue drawing negative attention. During recent media availability, White addressed the team's struggles following another disappointing loss. She acknowledged that the team over-dribbled frequently and lacked proper off-ball movement, with players often standing stationary. The offense became overly dependent on Kelsey Mitchell, with teammates watching rather than actively participating in plays.
And that's what we're finna dive into right now. Let's take a listen to it, man, because it's looking real spooky for Stephanie. Let's listen.
Yeah, I think we over dribbled at times. Our off ball movement wasn't there. We did a lot of standing. It's almost like we gave the ball to Kelsey and just tried to watch her work. And that's not when we're at our best. I mean, yes, certainly we want to have the ball in our hands, but we've got.
Stephanie, you drew up the play at the end of the game to give it to Kelsey, and you're saying we, like you're
When questioned about drawing up final plays for Mitchell while simultaneously criticizing ball-dominant tendencies, White appeared to deflect responsibility rather than acknowledging the contradiction. She emphasized the need for continuous movement and quicker decision-making, noting that the team failed to execute their desired pace of play. The coach discussed how turnovers proved costly, particularly 8 giveaways, resulting in 13 opponent points during the second half. She acknowledged that recent injuries have reduced the team's margin for error, referencing a devastating 22-7 opponent run spanning the end of the second quarter into the third quarter that proved insurmountable.
And you're saying like you're failing to take responsibility for your actions as a coach, right? Just opening up.
Got to continue to get movement with and without the basketball. It was getting stuck. I mean, we want to play 0.5 to 1 second basketball, and we weren't. And it's got to get moving. And it hurts. I mean, think we had 8 turnovers for 13 points in the second half as well. So we didn't take care of it.
Kobe said every loss, of course, feels the same, but given the opportunity at home, these last 2 close games, schedule gets hard, tight standings.
White highlighted defensive lapses, noting opponents scored 21 points from free throws and turnovers in the fourth quarter alone. She emphasized controlling these factors through disciplined defense without fouling and better basketball decision-making. Some struggles stem from players operating outside their natural positions, while others result from poor ball security. Regarding team morale, White addressed the emotional toll of losing key players while maintaining that professional sports requires mental resilience.
But given the opportunity at home, these last 2 close games, schedule gets hard, tight standings race. How much more, if any, does these hurt, and how does that change the way you have to kind of address your team after losses like these?
Yeah, it hurts. I mean, it does. She's right. Every loss hurts. And we know that after our injuries, our margin for error is smaller. And I think it was something like a 22-7 run, the end of the second, beginning of the third quarter. And those are hard to recover from when anytime really, but when you're missing pieces. And we've got to make sure that we're sharper.
She described the challenge of balancing empathy with necessary urgency given their playoff race situation. The coach noted that while losing core players affects the team emotionally and mentally, maintaining competitive focus remains essential. The rotation strategy centers on defensive matchups and rebounding needs. White explained that Bibby's limited minutes resulted from defensive considerations and switching requirements rather than offensive limitations.
We've got to make sure that we're sharper at times. We don't have the margin to have lulls within quarters. And then I believe they had something like 21 points from free throw line and turnovers of their 26 in the fourth. And, we control that defending without fouling. We control that taking care of the basketball, decision-making at times. And some of it's, playing some people out of position, and some of it's just not being, valuing the basketball in the way that we need to value it, being a little sloppy.
The condensed rotation of 7 to 8 players reflects defensive coverage priorities and rebounding positioning needs. Late game execution problems persist, with excessive fouling hampering defensive efforts. Offensive spacing improvements through smaller lineups haven't compensated for ball handling mistakes that cost crucial possessions. Despite creating reasonable scoring opportunities in closing moments, conversion rates remain inadequate.
One of those things where the Indiana Fever, when they turn it on and when they really just outwork teams, they can put it up to anyone. They just choose not to. This team's not good enough to coast. And that is a problem when it comes to the Fever. They are not good enough to coast, and they coast. They're trying to prep for playoffs that they're not even guaranteed to come back. That they're not even guaranteed to make. Thankfully, you've got the team out here. Biggest comeback win in franchise history.
White acknowledged that while individual moments like missed layups draw attention, broader stretches like the significant second quarter collapse ultimately determined game outcomes. The team generated quality looks but failed to capitalize on key opportunities when trailing. The current trajectory suggests significant changes may be necessary if performance doesn't improve rapidly. With playoff positioning becoming increasingly precarious and fan patience wearing thin, White's future with the organization hangs in the balance.
Stay together, Fever win. Kelsey freaking Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell isn't real. MVP Kels from Caitlin Clark. Man, does Sophie Cunningham have more Twitter clout than Caitlin Clark? Caitlin Clark, Kels, MVP Kels, 3.6k likes. Same for Sophie. Sophie Cunningham, 3.6k. She might have more Twitter clout than Caitlin Clark. To be fair, Sophie Cunningham has had a few, like, 100k tweets, hasn't she? Yeah, she had a 200k tweet.
The remaining games will likely determine not only the team's postseason fate, but also the coaching staff's long-term prospects with the franchise. The Indiana Fever deserves recognition for their persistent effort despite facing significant challenges early in matches. Similar to their previous contest against the Wings where they overcame a 17-point gap, today's match saw them trailing by 21 points before mounting an extraordinary recovery. The Fever demonstrates remarkable capability when they fully engage and commit maximum effort against opponents.
Fair, Sophie Cunningham has had a few, like, 100k tweets, hasn't she? Yeah, she had a 200k tweet just there. She might have more Twitter clout than Caitlin Clark. I think everyone's being like, hope all the best of your injury. Prayers up. Tweeting about Kelsey's a great sign. Come back soon. I don't think Sophie's gonna be back for this season. Thank you for the $2. One more song. Maybe if we win another game. Oh, we win another game. Thank you for Jungle Telegraph for the membership. I gotta say.
However, their inconsistent approach remains problematic. This squad lacks the talent depth to play casually. The team cannot afford to relax during games while preparing for playoffs.
For the membership. I gotta say, it's the Indiana Fever, they don't know when to give up. Like, if you're Lexi Hull hit two of the biggest shots in the game. Like, Lexi Hull genuinely hit two of the biggest shots in that game. There's no question about that. That some of the shots Lexi Hull made were unbelievable. Were absolutely unbelievable.
The comparison between Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark's Twitter influence sparked discussion, with Cunningham's recent posts generating substantial engagement. Lexi Hull's contribution proved crucial, connecting on two vital shots during the comeback sequence. Her three-point shooting accuracy typically varies considerably, but she delivered when the team needed it most. Hull's defensive intensity and clutch shooting ability compensate for her inconsistent offensive output throughout games.
And even though she made a really nice layup in their comeback, she hit a big three, and she hit a game-icing three. And look, say what you want about Lexi Hull and her shooting, because it is very, 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 very iffy. But man, she hit a clutch shot there. She hit a clutch shot. And at this stage, like,
the defensive effort from players like Bree Turner stood out during the rally. Mitchell's determination to prevent defeat became evident, while Odyssey Sims emerged unexpectedly to provide essential contributions when the team faced elimination scenarios. Despite the terrible first-half performance, the Fever's ability to recover from such deficits while playing poorly suggests potential for better results under improved circumstances. The organization has consistently handled difficult situations well throughout the season, demonstrating resilience even in losses like the recent Dallas Wings contest where they fought back from a 17-point deficit.
That's all that we kind of want to see from her. Put in effort, put in energy, play some defense, and you know what? You don't need to be a big maker of shots. Like, you don't need to be out here making 7-8 shots a game. But if you're a maker of big shots, we'll live with that too. We will live with that too. And the fight from Kelsey Mitchell, the fight from Bree effing Turner on the defensive end.
Fan reactions typically shift dramatically during such momentum swings. Axelrod frustration during the 21-point deficit transforms into celebration following the comeback. Sports naturally create these emotional extremes, allowing supporters to experience despair and euphoria within the same contest. This wasn't merely a moral victory, but a meaningful result that demonstrated the team's fighting spirit. The coaching decisions through 3 quarters raised questions, including questionable rotations and lineup choices like removing Hull from the starting unit.
Turner on the defensive end. Like, I'm shocked about that. Kelsey Mitchell did not want this team to lose. Odyssey Sims didn't want to see this team to lose. Like, Odyssey Sims stepped up out of nowhere and did not want this team to lose. And they just came in and won. They did it. They came back. And
some argue that securing a lottery position might benefit the franchise more than a first-round playoff sweep. However, those concerns fade when acknowledging the player's achievement. Mitchell's performance exemplified the dramatic swing, arguably her worst opening half, followed by her finest closing half.
They came back. And, like, I have to say, the Indiana Fever were absolutely shockingly bad today. They were terrible. They were embarrassingly bad, but it doesn't matter. If you can win a game down 21 points while being embarrassingly bad, then who knows how you can get on in better situations. And look, I will always give the
Hull's clutch shooting and the collective effort deserve celebration despite the overall poor execution. The victory provides 5 days of positive momentum before potentially returning to struggles, as the team might lose 4 of their next 5 contests. An ugly victory still counts as success, regardless of the concerning elements that led to the early deficit.